Thanks, Tim. Tim's ready.
Call the meeting to order. Let the record show that this is a regular city council meeting held on Monday, July 17th, 2017. Welcome to all of you in the audience. All members of council are present with the exception of Ryan Richard, who is stuck in traffic on his way here. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council is going to remain standing for a moment of silence. You are welcome to join us. You do not have to. Thank you. All right. Take the shoulder up. Item number 1 on the agenda is special presentations. As you all know, we had a July 4th parade here. July 4th. You laugh, but some people do ask that question. Item number 1A is the land parade presentation, and the winners of the land parade were the Tega Croquet Club.
Woo!
So I'm going to ask Michelle McGuire to come up and accept this on behalf of the Tega Croquet Club. You're very welcome. You need to turn this way. Look pretty. Standard pose. I need to. Right. No knee pop, just a standard pose. One more. One more what?
Well, thank you.
Shake the hands of the
Madam. Thank you. Congratulations.
And at some point in time, we'll get together when,
Never.
you know, and have our party at the house. Because that's one of the prizes, is to have dinner with the mayor.
Oh, good Lord.
Exactly. That's exactly what my wife and daughter said. Really? And then we have the boat parade winner, which is Clint Parker. I don't believe he is here.
Oh,
So, sorry, Clint, we'll get this to you. And item number 1B on the agenda is the proclamation for Sam Davis on his Eagle Scout project. Would you come forward?
Sammy Sam. Oh, these Eagle Scouts.
Stand over here. Proclamation recognizing Eagle Scout project by Sam Davis. Whereas Sam Davis has proven himself as an outstanding member of Boy Scouts of America, and whereas it takes many years of dedication and commitment to achieve the rank of Eagle, whereas Eagle Scouts act as leaders and role models in the community, whereas Eagle Scout Award is a distinction that will follow him through his life and will be a beacon to others of leadership, quality, and commitment this young man has shown. And whereas the citizens of Tega appreciate the hard work in constructing steps on Windjammer Park, which provides greater access to areas of the park and a safe area for the Carolina Show ski team to exit the water. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the council of the city of Tega do hereby congratulate and recognize Sam Davis for his achievement towards his rank of Eagle Scout. We are proud to have him as a member of our community.
Congratulations, Sam. Thank you.
And now I will turn the meeting over to Les Woods for the donation to the Tega Volunteer Fire Department from the Catawba Sail and Power Squadron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If Commander Joe Fazzari and other members of the executive committee from the Catawba Sail and Power Squadron could please come forward. As they're coming forward, I might mention the fact that a number of TEK residents are members of the Catawba Salem Power Squadron, which is almost like a chapter, I guess it is a chapter, of the United States Power Squadron. And the main function is education and training. And when the squadron found out that we do a fair number of rescues, either below the dam or above the dam, and you know, we were short on some equipment, they offered to purchase 6 Class A life vests, which are the most buoyant and will actually take an unconscious person and keep their head above water. So, Commander Fazzari, thank you very, very much for your donation. Would you like to say a couple words?
By the way, I was in the first boat in that parade.
Were you really?
Because where Catawba had 5 of the 10 boats in the parade. So
How about
Awesome.
Supported very much. As Wes mentioned, the Division Chief Woods mentioned, we spent an awful lot of time in educating the public on the boating regulations and the safety. We do a lot of safety checks as well. Unfortunately, there are accidents do occur on the lake. And it's important that the first responders, who sometimes put their lives on the line to save people, have the right equipment. So when Diane Woods, one of our past commanders, mentioned to us about possibly making a donation to the squadron, we thought it best that the executive committee, and I discussed it with Bill Beers, who's my executive officer here, that rather than make a contribution, we go ahead and just buy the equipment that you need. We want to make sure that you have the right equipment. So on behalf of the Catawba Salem Power Squadron, Mr. Chief, I'd like to present this to you. Wear them in good state.
Thank you very much, Commander.
As the executive officer, my responsibility is to support our community organizations under our second of our 3 major focuses. Les told you about education. Our second major focus is civic service. We do this, and we also do things like a annual children's outing for between 350 and 450 underprivileged children and their families each year with the Charlotte Power Squadron. And then our third is fellowship. And if you are a voter and you're not part of our organization, we would invite you to consider becoming a member of the United States Power Squadron, and particularly the Catawba Salem Power Squadron. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a presentation from the Tega Lions Foundation. Sue Galaski.
The Lions Club would like to present you with this check for $500 for your many, many years of service to the community and to the Lions Club. We've worked so closely together, and we thank you for helping us raise this money.
Thank you very, very much, Sue. I might just say just a couple of comments. When we were going to build our initial station in historic Tega, the Lions Club had a great deal to do with helping us build that at the time. And since that time, we have in turn at the fire department helped the Tega Lions Club with the shrimp boil or other events that they do. And as late as a month ago, we had a Friends Helping Friends event for disabled children. And we were running a little bit short on manpower, and the Lions heard about that, and lo and behold, they sent 5 members over to help us. So it's a continuing close relationship, and all TUK residents banding together to help other residents. Thank you very much, Sue.
Thank you, Les.
Item number 2 on the agenda is an executive session. Council will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion that we move into executive session to receive legal advice as it pertains to the land development policy.
I have a motion by Dottie Hersey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David O'Neill. Any discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. 5 minutes. I promise. What? 5. I promise. Council is back in open session. While in executive session, no votes were taken other than return to open session. And yes, Walt, I lied. Item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Council, before you, the regular city council meetings minutes. I just went right past public comments because we don't have any. Are there any public comments? Okay. Item number 4 on the agenda is approval of minutes. Council, before you are the minutes for the regular city council meeting of June 19th. Are there any questions or deletions to those minutes? Hearing none, those minutes stand approved. Item number 5 on the agenda is the committee commission update and the planning commission update by Chris Leonard. And as Chris is coming up here, I love this idea. It's something we used to do, where we had the chair people of the committees come before council and tell council what was going on. Somehow or another, we got away from that. I think some of the chair people of the committees were camera shy. They didn't want to do it, so we went away from that. So Chris, thank you so much for bringing this back.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, with some discussion with Councilman Richard and Charlie and Susan, we thought this might be a good idea to resurrect this. We are embarking on several kind of strategic initiatives within the Planning Commission and thought we would brief you on them and give you an opportunity to think about them and perhaps give us some feedback. Plan to do this maybe quarterly or more often as required?
You're welcome to come every council meeting we have and do this.
Then if that's what you'd like to do, then we certainly can support that. 3 things that are kind of at our top of our minds right now. I don't intend this to be the day-to-day things we do with Planning Commission plats and sketch plans and things like that. It's really more in the strategic nature of things. 3 things that we're doing right now. We have ordinance updates to Ordinance 77 of the zoning code that have been run through once, I think, read through it in a public hearing, tabled, and we're working on those. One is to update the code for satellites and antennas, which really is very dated language, to reduce some regulations on citizens. Right now you need a special use permit. We want to make those accessory uses. So we've got that, I think, cleaned up, and we'll have that probably ready in the August, September timeframe. Perhaps for another public hearing. I think we have to figure out if we need it or not. Second to that would be solar installations, which is a topic of interest, I know, here in Tega. We're working through that. Thank you for your input last month, and we're working on those suggestions that you made. One of the things that we're contemplating is perhaps only allowing as accessory uses rooftop installations, which is probably 85% of the installations that you see in the residential world right now. The alternative is ground-mounted installations. We would make those a special use and make that require a zoning variance. Still contemplating that, but I think that fits better with what we want to do in Tega. And there's some other changes that are coming to that, probably also in the August, September timeframe for that. The second item that we're working on is a master plan for pedestrian and bike access for the city. And we've kind of talked through that a little bit. We brought it, I think, to council maybe before December last year, and have started working on that. 3 kind of subsets of ideas have come out of that. The first is in the existing portions of Tega, creating more connectors between the existing trail systems so that it's more pedestrian friendly within what is already in the city. That would include also connections outside of the city to trails that exist in our area, like the Carolina Thread Trail that kind of comes up close to where Catawba Park will be. Second item on that kind of initiative is looking to future developments, whether they be approved developments for annexations or strategic annexation opportunities that may come to us in the next couple of years, and have a plan already in place for where trails should be to create even more connectivity within the city once those new parcels come in place. And the third part of that is bikeability, which is not something we talk a lot about here in Tega, but there's some opportunities we think whenever we do redevelopment, whenever we do infrastructure updates, like the repaving of Tega Drive, that we allow for expanded lanes, bike lanes, things like that. And maybe we take that farther and get a certification as a bike-friendly community. There's some work to be done to do that, though. And then the third thing is, and this is a little more strategic, our comprehensive plan is due for an update in 2020. So the calendar year 2019, we'll spend a lot of time doing that. We're developing a list of things we want to get done and out of the way before 2019 comes. And we want to kind of share that with you, get some discussion on that, and make sure we're heading down the right roads when it comes to that, so that the, kind of the path is clear come 2019, so we can work on the master plan. And so some things that we're thinking about there are, does our current zoning ordinance need an update to streamline it, remove duplications, clean it up? I think the answer is yes. I think there's an obvious task there. Another thing that we're working on is recent trends in development that we're seeing in the region, maybe nationally. Should we have requirements imposed on any new developments for things like environmental sustainability and renewable kinds of initiatives that are required to be part of the development, right? Those are things that are starting to pop up in national conversations. We have a topic that we're contemplating to look at our zoning ordinances regarding in-law apartments. There's been some discussions on both sides of that, right? Whether
No
we
way.
tighten the regulations, whether we loosen the regulations. Would
No
love to-
way do I
love
want
to
my
hear some
in-laws
input on
living
that.
with me.
So nice.
Thank God they don't get this channel.
Two things related to the 2015 comp plan that's already in place. There's a number of strategies and actions in there. Obviously, we want to status those for council so everybody knows exactly how we've done on some of those. And if you recall, there were some short-term and some medium-term and longer-term things. There was a lot of activity on the short-term ones. You probably get close to an A grade on that. The medium terms, which is kind of where we're starting to look right now, we need to kind of revisit those and see if any of those need to be addressed in any way by the city so that they're done and finished when it's time to update the comp plan.
That's great.
And then the last item that we're kind of looking at right now is to see if there's any additional things within the current comp plan that because of development outside of our city, should we be addressing and planning to include in the comp plan in more of the strategic type of thing, like new overlay districts. We created one for the Marina District. We've talked about, should we create one for the 160 corridor? Should any of those properties enter TGK through annexation in the future? So those are the things we're thinking about. I appreciate the opportunity to brief you and update you on that. And if you have any thoughts on those items.
Other than the in-law apartments, I think it's great, the way that you guys are going. This is, again, this is a big change from the Planning Commission, from where we used to be to where we are now. So I really appreciate all your comments and your input. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks. We look forward to seeing you again. For sure.
Item number 6 under unfinished business, 6A is the second reading of an amendment to ordinance number 509 in regards to the T-CUD fee schedule. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight we have before you, and based on your previous conversation last month, an amendment to only to ordinance 509, but only as it relates to the fee schedule for T-CUD. And this is, staff believes this is necessary due to increases that we are getting from Town of Fort Mill and City of Rock Hill for water and sewer respectively. There is no gain in the net profit, so to speak. It is merely a straight pass-through of the increases that the utility is occurring. As council did give a favorable first read, we would ask for a favorable second at this time.
Thank you, Charlie. Council, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance to amend ordinance 509 in regards to the T-CUD fee schedule.
Motion by Ryan Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jennifer Stalford. Any council comments or questions?
Just one, and I know we talked about this last time, and our hands are a little bit tied. Charlie, I think before, I don't know when, maybe a couple years ago now, we talked about any opportunities for us to buy our water and sewer, buy them directly as opposed to going through. And I don't know if that would even save us money if it's reality. Can you just remind me what we?
At this
Where we
point in
were?
time, I mean, well, with Rock Hill, you are straight through
Yeah.
to the end provider. For About 50%, and what will be more than 50% of the system does go straight to Rock Hill.
Okay.
And we have a long-term agreement with them on that. So, and it has afforded us the opportunity to actually pick up town of Fort Mill as a sewer customer. On the water end of things,
That's a benefit.
really, we're only paying a 30 cents per 1,000-gallon transportation charge to town of Fort Mill. So what they're being charged by Rock Hill, they charge us plus 30 cents. To install a water main to a point of connection with the city of Rock Hill, we've not run a PER on that to see what it would cost, but I would say getting the rate that Fort Mill has afforded to us on this long-term contract, my guess, without running the engineering on it, would far better
sounds like
deal
it's a
than
better
going,
deal, yeah.
trying to install multi-million-dollar water line all the way to Rock Hill.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
David? No. Jen? Brian? Call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item number 6B on the agenda is an approval of credit and performance. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. At the regular Planning Commission meeting on May 8th, they did approve, Planning Commission did approve the final plat for Cadence Map 1 contingent upon council's approval of the letter of credit and performance labor and material surety agreement by council, which we do have in your packet for you tonight. The amount is for $469,543.75. Just for the record, I can say that the vast majority of the infrastructure, the overwhelming majority of the infrastructure that would be covered by, or that is covered under this LOC, has actually already been installed by the builders. So at this time, we would ask for council's favorable approval.
Thank you, Charlie. Council, entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, motion to approve the letter of credit and performance, labor and materials surety agreement for final plat for Cadence Map 1.
I have a motion by Jen Stalford. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David O'Neill. Any council discussion?
So this allows Cadence, the developer, to start selling
Individual lots.
individual
Yes, ma'am.
lots before their infrastructure is complete, and the letter of credit is a security for the city if they fail to follow through.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Ryan Richard opposes. Item number 7A on the agenda is the TCUD 2 sewer rehab synopsis, and that we have Philip Jolly.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Just want to give you a quick update and overview of the rehab project. Excuse me. Some time ago, 18 months, I don't know the exact date, but the City of Tega Utility Department borrowed roughly $6,757,377 from South Carolina DHEC State Revolving Fund. As you can see in the slide, the breakdown, engineering fees, plans, permits totaled $586,000, which left us remaining fund of basically 6.171 to spend on construction and then contingencies. I've added some pictures here. This is at our wastewater treatment plant number 2. This is a new wet well lift station going in the ground. As you can see, they hit rock, things of this nature. It's about 30 foot deep at this point. And then overall, the new lift station is 8 foot in diameter, where the old lift station was 5 foot in diameter. And what that does, gives us more retention time to treat the wastewater. In other words, as the wastewater comes in, it can settle. We can run it through the plant treatment process a lot slower. Gives us better treatment process overall. The new stations, now we installed a new station at each wastewater treatment plant, both number 2 and number 3. Each one of those stations has 3 pumps, where the old ones had two, so it allows, you know, for retention, of course, in there too, longer pump life as well. Both plants did receive fine air bubbler grids, and what those do, it allows the oxygen to mix in with the sludge or the waste of the treatment process, and there's microorganism bugs that feed off that oxygen and allow them to eat the waste, and therefore overall cause a better treatment process as well. Also, we installed disc filters prior to our UVs, ultraviolet light disinfection process. What those disc filters allow is to remove any remaining solids that may get through the treatment process. It helps give more clarity to the UVs, therefore giving a better disinfection, which allows and helps our samples, the overall process, to meet those DHEC standards and regulations that are set forth by them. The UVs were also installed at a higher elevation. You say, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the higher elevation gives us more head pressure. So in other words, when the lake is at full pond or full, when we used to have rain events, we weren't able to push as much flow through the treatment process out through the plant because it would back up into the plant because the pond would be so full, the lake would be so full. Installing it at a higher elevation allows us to push more through the plant should we need to, and create some more head pressure going into the lake once we discharge after the treatment process. Here you see some pictures of the old system there on the left with the little block wall around it. On the right you'll see the new system, of course, with the big new bright shiny disc filter system on the top center there in the right picture. Now, what this allowed us to do as well with the new UVs filter system, the upgrades, new pumps, new wet wells installed at the treatment plants. We have permitted through DHEC, through our NPDES permits, we're permitted at 320,000 gallons per day at Plant 2 and 290,000 gallons per day at Plant 3. Our average flow actually right now is around 170,000 gallons per day at treatment Plant 2 and 130 at number 3. We see peak flows at 350 at Plant 2 and 290, which is our permit allowable at Plant 3. Now what that does, those peak flows are just a portion of what is captured at a point in time. In other words, our permit allows for, say if we had flow of 320,000 gallons every day for a maximum of 30 days, that would be the average. Well, we do have peaks where it's actually over those permitted levels, but it's not a consistent peak time. So therefore, we're well underneath our permit through our NPDES permit. The flow data prior to the upgrades at plant number 2, the most that we could push through at any given time during the rain event was 550,000 gallons per day before we would have to divert to that lovely lake tank that we now have gotten rid of. At plant 3, the most we could push through was about 300,000 gallons per day before we would have to divert to plant 4, which is the holding tank now. Since the upgrades, we are able to push, according to the last rainfall that we had, about 675,000 gallons per day flow through the plant. So you see we still have some issues that we're going to have to work through in the future, but it's increased our capacity in order to treat and then push that flow through the plant greatly. And then at plant 3 we're able to push 375,000 gallons per day through the plant, and that's with no diversions. Since the upgrades, we've not had to divert any at plant 3 and only very little at plant 2. So those upgrades have helped tremendously. Along with the treatment plant upgrades, there was an intermediate lift station and force main installed off of Point Clear. The contractor installed approximately 3,600 linear feet of 6-inch pipe and a little over 3,800 linear feet of 10-inch pipe. And of course, that new lift station, of course, is located off Point Clear. Now, what this lift station, this new lift station will allow us to do is that flows into regularly Plant 2. That allows us to take that flow off of Plant 2 and divert it to Plant 3, or even divert it to our temporary or permanent equalization plant or station at Plant 4 during heavy rainfalls, should we have to divert. And of course, that also allows us, with the old wet wells we still have at Plant 2 and Plant 3, through the use of that force main, we can take flow off of Plant 2, should that have high flows, transfer to Plant 3, and then from Plant 3 to 2 or 4. It's complicated, I know, but it allows us to,
You can move it around.
yes,
Yeah.
to where we can handle it more effectively instead of just letting it sit somewhere and not treating it until flow goes back down. And of course, this is some pictures of our new intermediate lift station located off of Point Clear during the installation process. Here you see a map, general overview of where that force main is located and how it runs throughout the city. You'll see, of course, the origination point over off Point Clear, to top left corner, how it runs, and then from Plant 2, from the intermediate pump station to Plant 2 is a 6-inch force main. It upsizes at Plant 2 all the way to Plant 3 to a 10-inch. And then we have a little section of force main from Plant 3 to Plant 4, which is our permanent equalization tank should we need to use it. Now, that was not the only part. That was the major part, but we've done a lot of work as far as lining, relining sewer lines, the collection system itself, those lines that collect the sewer, the wastewater from the house and then sends it to the treatment plant. The majority of that work, you'll see a map here, the majority of that work was focused in and around Plant number 3, which is around on this grid B2, C1, C2, and so forth. While we did do some areas that we knew were bad around Plant 2, we have since, now that we've working through the process and we've come close to the end of this project, we've seen where we have some contingencies money left over. We want to make sure we get the most bang for our buck. So we have the contractors coming back in, that we have money proportioned to them in order to do some more work around Plant 2 as well, in order to help reduce that I&I coming into that plant. So that should help tremendously in the near future. So overall, you see here where we, like I said, we started out with 6.171377. Total that we spent to date is $5,610,000. Well, that's the funds that we had available. What we spent to date is as follows: $2 million in the collection system. That includes the lining, rehab the manholes, lining those manholes, the force main between all the treatment plants. You see that number. The wastewater treatment plant upgrades. So a total of spent is $6,072,508.97. That leaves us a remaining balance as of right now, $98,868.03. While we do have some of that money already allocated to do some other minute projects, we should come well under budget with that. Any questions?
Yeah. First of all, I mean, it's hard to believe we bought this 3 years ago. And it was a risk, a big risk. And there were a lot of us that we thought we needed to do it, how to do it to protect the city and the lake. But still were afraid that when we got into doing this, we would find all kinds of monsters that we didn't know about. So my whole point there is just a tremendous job, and a lot of effort to get us where we needed to be, to get us in compliance with DHEC's requirements, and to make sure that our citizens have the kind of water service that they need to have. So congratulations to you and your team on that, for sure. I wanted to ask a question. One of the slides that you had earlier, you were talking about wastewater 2, Plant Two, and you said, we went up from 550,000 to 675,000. And then you said that, pardon me, that there's some future issues to deal with, but you didn't elaborate. Can you just tell us what that
Those
is?
are some areas that we know that we still have some I coming into, that since that we've known that, we've allocated some of that remaining money to go back to that lining contractor to have him come back in here and line some of those areas. He's actually in here this week, came in last week, and again, this week to look at some of those problem areas where hopefully we can even reduce that, flow coming into that plant during rain events even more.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Ryan?
Nothing?
Jen?
Excellent, thank you.
David? Very detailed, good brief. Who's that guy standing over there?
I have with me tonight, Assistant Utility Director Antonio Maturo, and of course, Joel Wood, our city engineer. Of course, we all work together as a team, including our employees, and been a very good project, challenging project, but,
Was.
Well, Philip,
Very
on behalf of the citizens of Tega, I want to say thank you for a job well done. Item number 7B is the approval of the memorandum of agreement for the detention of juveniles. I swear we just did this last week. It seems like we just did this. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is something that comes out from the DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice, on an annual basis. And they ask us to enter into this MOU with them, as we have done every year, or excuse me, MOA, as we have done with them every year. Basically, it provides that should one of our darling angels stray from the fold and need some alone time with our friends at DJJ, that we can take them there. And we would ask for council's favorable approval of this agreement so that we can get it back to them.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOA Department of Juvenile Justice Agreement and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement.
1 second.
Okay.
The last paragraph,
Yes.
page 4. The sums paid or payable under this contract shall not exceed, and that is blank.
It is a $50 a day charge, and what we have done every year, as far back as I could find, is we issue them a purchase order for the year. And I don't know that we have ever spent more than $50 total combined. It is not something that we have to do very frequently, thank goodness, but it is something that we need to have in place. We can put a amount in there if council has an amount in mind. But again, this is one of those agreements that we have in place and hope to never have to use it. And thus far, we have been we have not had to. Yeah, but we do have to issue them a purchase order, and it is $50 a day. Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yes.
$50 a day.
Do you put anything in our budget for this? And you put a line item amount in?
No, I mean, it just comes out of our normal operating expenses. There's not a line item specific for this. Again, I could find once where we actually had to pay them, and it was $50 from a few years ago. So,
And what happens if we put in there in this motion to, not to exceed $50? And if it does exceed $50, does that mean you have to come back to us again?
Yeah, that's silly.
that would be
I mean, do we need that line in there at all?
Right.
Because if we have juveniles in trouble, which we hate to hear, we're gonna have to it's gonna have to happen anyway. So do we need the line at all?
I mean, it's something we could go back to them on. This is their standard agreement that council has approved in previous years.
Just put a
It just
number
looks
in
to me
there.
as it's an open check.
Right.
And I'm not.
I mean, it basically is an open PO that we have given them previously, but if there is a dollar amount that
I would just
council
put a
would like
not
to
to exceed
approve.
amount on a purchase order.
So
and,
then do $1,000.
I mean, whatever you think.
$1,000?
And-
Absolutely. I
agreeable
think
to-
that would
And then come
generously
back to
cover
us
it,
if trouble
should we get an
starts.
invoice.
Can you change your motion, please?
I can, sure. So I didn't, nobody seconded
you
my
seconded,
motion
correct.
anyway, so. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion, if I can find it, to approve the MOA Department of Juvenile Justice Agreement and authorize the city manager to execute the said agreement in an amount not to exceed $1,000.
I have a motion by Dottie Hersey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David O'Neill. Any more council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 7C on the agenda is the amendment to the golf management agreement. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Back in November of 2012, the city and Pinnacle Golf Management did enter into a management agreement for the Tega Golf Course and related facilities. That agreement is set to expire on October 31st, 2017, unless council does agree to amend the agreement and extend the terms out. Our management provider, Pinnacle, does desire to continue on with us, would like to stay here and continue doing the job that they're doing, and are agreeable to keeping all other terms of our existing agreement in place, with the exception of what would be changed in this amendment, which would be extending it out, the term out to October 31st of 2020, and allowing for 2 one-year extensions after that.
Great. Council, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the First Amendment to the management agreement with Pinnacle Golf Management to extend the term to October 31st, 2020, and allow for 2 one-year extensions after that, to authorize the city manager to execute said agreement.
I have a motion by David O'Neill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dottie Hersey. Any council discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Item number 7D is the award of the 2017 Sea Funds project. City Manager Charlie Funderburk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We did receive funding, or approval of funding from York County for 2017 Sea Fund project. This project was initially approved under the 2016 Sea Funds, but after going out for bid, the county did not approve enough funds to do that project. So we were able to get Councilman Johnson agreed to take the funds that he approved from last year and include them with the funds for this year so that we could undertake that project. We put it out for bid. We had one bidder. We reached back out to the county to see if we needed to put it back out again, and they said no. We have followed the procurement guidelines, advertised it accordingly under the South Carolina Business Opportunities as well as in the local paper and on our website, which is the requirement, and provided that one bid did come within the project funded amount, we were authorized to go ahead and move forward with them should we choose to. This is a contractor that the city is very familiar with. It is Eddie Smith and Sons Paving. They've done a number of projects, have won several other Sea Fund bids in the past from the city. They do good work. You do have a letter from our consulting engineer, Jolie Wood and Associates, to that effect, and we would ask for council's favorable approval on awarding this bid at this time.
Thank you, Charlie. Council, entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to award the bid for resurfacing the end of TK Drive from Chelsea Day to the cul-de-sac to Eddie Smith and Sons Paving in the amount of $69,773 and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents for this project.
Thank you, Dottie. Do I have a second?
Second with discussion.
Second by Jen Stalford. Go ahead.
Since it's about $6,000 below what was awarded, do you have anything in mind that it could be spent on, or is this something that we have to be returning?
It would be funds. Right now, we don't have a project that would fit within that $6,000 that would be approved for Sea Funds. The projects that we have in the queue, so to speak, are sizably larger than that. Before we would ask to retain those funds, we would want to go through this process because those funds are still ours from the county. In case there was an overrun, they ran into an issue. in their bid, they do include the city's normal multiplier for contingencies. But as you get into milling out and resurfacing these old roads, sometimes the patching depths can vary more than what you can see before you mill it out. I wouldn't want to ask the county to earmark those funds quite yet until we at least get it milled out. In the meantime, I have had that conversation with our operations staff as far as what else can we quickly go after the county on. Like I said, we've got a C-fund list that, we're submitting to the county, and if they don't approve it this year, then it's, it moves to the top the next year kind of thing. Those don't fit in that $6,000 range, but we're working right now trying to identify what else is out there. If we're not able to come up with something that would be an approved project for C funds, then it would just stay in the C funds pool in Councilman Johnson's district for him to divvy out as he sees fit. We have been the beneficiary in years past of folks not fully expending their C funds, where we were able to get extras, a little extra money for a sizable project and things like that. So it's not unheard of by any means.
Okay, and I know you and I had discussed with the budgets coming up about restriping certain
That's-
streets. Would that be
that
something that concluded? In
That's not part of C-Fund stuff, but we
Okay.
do have it scheduled, and are actually just waiting for the contractor. It will be done as part of our operating budget.
Okay, fantastic.
This fiscal year, yes,
All right,
ma'am.
Thank you.
Good.
Else we good? Call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item number 8 on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As the mayor alluded to at the beginning of the council meeting, city had another very successful 4th of July celebration. Thankfully, the weather did cooperate with us for the events. I've heard nothing but positive remarks from folks around the city. I'd especially like to thank Mayor Shepherd for your time assisting on the front end of things with the organization, organizing of the events. I'd also really like to thank Joey Blethen and Lacey Armstrong from our Parks and Recreation staff, all of our public safety staff with police and fire. It's a very long, hot day for all of those folks, as well as I know volunteers from the Women's Club helped with decorating up at the Glennon Center. We had a number of volunteers assisting with the land and boat parades. So thank you to everybody that really came together and helped pull off another wonderful 4th of July celebration. I've been meeting with department heads to discuss and plan for the FY 17-18 budgets. Just as a simple reminder for council, we'll be holding our budget workshop on Monday, July 31st at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Everybody's seen a lot on the social media about Sergeant Neely and fundraisers going on for his son and his family. Tomorrow, Danny's Pizza and Pasta of Tega will be hosting a fundraising event for his family. 40% of all sales will be donated to help the Neelys. Sergeant Neely's been with TCPD for a better part of 11 years. So if you don't have lunch plans or dinner plans tomorrow, go get some pasta, go get some pizza, and help out. That would be fantastic. We know Sergeant Neely would greatly appreciate it. Let's see, while we're on PD, they are taking reservations for their second annual Retired Law Enforcement Breakfast. Had a great turnout last year when they did it. So they're doing reservations now. That'll be on Friday, July 21st. So just email Billy Taylor. We've got all that information on our website. So if you're a retired law enforcement from anywhere, just shoot us an email. We'd love to host you for breakfast. Let's see, July 26th, and Sylvia, I think, has sent information to council on this. City Council has been invited to York County Day at Rock Hill's BMX International event that is getting kicked off. Starts this week, I think. So if you haven't been out to the BMX facility down in Rock Hill, really is first class. And again, York County Day will be out there. And just let Sylvia know if you'll be attending. I think a couple of you have already responded.
What is that date again?
The 26th, July 26th.
Next Wednesday.
Yep. Be a week from Wednesday. And they're doing that at noon, right, Sylvia? Yeah, at noon. So during the lunch hour time frame. Let's see, our next food truck rally will be on Saturday, August 19th, and I think we got Sonic Rewind, local fan favorite. So look forward to seeing everybody out there for that. And council, I will be out of the office starting about lunchtime on Wednesday through the rest of this week for the Municipal Association Conference, but will be available via cell and email, should you need me. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions for Charlie, Ryan, Jen?
Yes, I do. Actually, several of the things I think are just perhaps due to the weather, but I'm having a lot of residents concerned due to the car break-ins, and I know there was an update on Facebook, and I shared that with others, but I've had people think that we actually don't even have patrol units at night, which was a surprise that they may believe that. Are those on, they were asking if there was more break-ins last night, and I didn't know, because the chief is here, if he could address what he's seeing the issue is with these cars.
Yeah, we'll get Chief Parker, I think, can speak to that definitely much better than I can.
Hello, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Hello. Hopefully this is an isolated incident. We were able to ascertain some DNA evidence, some fingerprints, and we also have really good video. Our video footage matches the same suspects that also hit Lancaster just last night. We are on high alert. We do have patrol working nighttime.
Yeah, thank goodness.
One thing, or a couple things that I want to make sure I remind residents is, one, lock your doors. 99% of all these vehicles were unlocked doors.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that they're victims, but they can make themselves harder victims. Number two is call the police if you see anything suspicious. These people are armed, no question about it, gun in hand as they're doing each car break-in. So please make sure that you call the police if you see anything suspicious. And number three, and most importantly, is we are working very hard overtime trying to make sure that we're finding the suspects and we're running down every lead we have.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions?
Can I just add one thing to that? If you have one of those remote controls, the portable remote control that's not connected to your visor, don't leave it in plain sight. Put it in the glove compartment, because all they need to do is hit that and they're in your garage.
Yes,
So
sir.
just if you could hide that in the console, in your glove box, whatever, it's not a bad idea.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks, Chief.
Put your car in the garage.
Another question I've been having a lot of is that traffic light at Hubert Graham Parkway.
There was an issue with it a few days ago, sometime last week, I believe, through the evening hours. DOT was dispatched, came up and did correct that. While they were there, they had their laptop hooked up to it. It is a 120-second light. So as you're on Hubert Graham Way, at the light, waiting to turn left or right on Gold Hill, it is a 120-second light. So it will seem like you sat there for an hour, and nobody coming. But you guys sat there for several hours, making sure that it was functioning, going through the signals properly. And we've asked them to continue to monitor that since we did have some issues, I think, in the last week or two. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And to piggyback off of yours, the left turn signal at Walmart.
The left turn signal
If
at
you're
Walmart.
trying to go, if you're coming down 160 and taking a left to get to Hubert Graham, I've had a lot of complaints as far as traffic was backed up there, we're sitting here waiting, the light's not changing, or there is no turn arrow. It's
Oh,
green,
the
go-
turn arrow is not
Right.
signaling? We'll make sure to pass that along to DOT and have them check that as well. Yes, sir.
Can it be less than 120 seconds? I mean, is that magic, or?
I mean, typically, it's my understanding from conversations with DOT that most of their traffic lights, if not all, that they control are either 90 seconds or 120. The one at Shoreline and TGK Drive will vary depending on whether during
Volume.
peak hours, for school traffic and things of that nature. Outside of school times, you're gonna sit there a little bit longer. they want to keep flow on TKK Drive, Gold Hill Road. That's their primary concern, is keeping traffic flowing as much as possible on that. But to also help reduce the idle times and the wait times on those intersecting roads. Why they chose 120 seconds versus 90, I couldn't tell you. I can ask the question if y'all need that answer, but that's what they went with.
I just sing, and listen to music. So.
I have one last question.
Go ahead.
It's regarding our last meeting with RFAT's demand response transit proposal. Have we had a chance to get that survey out to residents, or do you have a forecast of when that will occur?
No, I'm hoping that next week I'm actually going to send that sample of the survey questions to council for some feedback, so we can then post it. I didn't want to post the survey online before getting feedback to the survey questions from council. And I apologize. I didn't forget about it, just kept putting it to the back burner as we've been crunching through budget numbers. But it is still definitely, most certainly on the radar, but we want to get that to you guys before we put it onto the city website.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have nothing, thanks.
David?
No questions.
This is the glamorous time of being the mayor of the city of TK. Could we have someone talk to Wellmore about their irrigation system? Because apparently their sprinklers go on to 160, which causes 160 to be wet, which has caused people to skid through that light.
Oh, good
So,
Lord.
Again, that's, one of the,
Potholes and sprinklers, I tell you, you got it, Mayor.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Whatever. So could we have someone talk to Wellmore about their sprinkler system? I used to get a complaint from somebody complaining that the kids' bus stop was near the sprinkler system, and the owner of the property used to turn the sprinklers on when the kids were at the bus stop.
I do not.
It's one way to keep them off the lawn.
Like, really? Come on. Better things to do. Item number 9 on the agenda is the public comments. Are there any public comments? Okay.
A quiet group tonight.
We go on to item number 10 on the agenda, which is the council comments. And we'll start down with you, Ryan. You got anything?
I don't have a ton. 4th of July was great. It's been mentioned 2 or 3 times already, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. And Pinnacle, the golf course is looking great, so congratulations on the extension. You guys keep doing what you're doing. That's it.
Jen?
I just wanted to reiterate what Charlie was saying regarding the city budget meeting. That is open to the entire public. I've seen a lot of misinformation on Facebook that these are closed and secret, and that is not accurate. These are in public. These are actually videotaped, and they're also online. Video. And actually, I think since all the years I've been on, I don't remember any actually residents ever attending.
Well, Walt comes.
So we actually really would enjoy hearing other people's perspectives, and this is a way for you to understand why we have made decisions the way we have, because we have department heads that are coming, representing, and we're interrogating them, saying, why do you want to spend all this money? Do you really need to do this kind of thing? But of course, we're supporting them because they put a lot of time into what they want, and they see our needs for the community. So that's on the 31st, sit here at 6 p.m.
Yes, ma'am. And we don't take it as an interrogation.
Sorry.
It's fine.
There's no waterboarding or anything like that.
Dottie?
Yeah, I'm delighted that Pinnacle's being extended. The golf course is just fantastic, so that was an easy decision to make, and thank you for being here tonight. And that's it. I think everything else is good.
David?
Well, when you go forth, you're going to hear some of the stuff you already heard, but I can't overly reiterate what a great 4th of July we have every year. It's the best around. I don't know why anybody goes out of town on 4th of July when they can do TK. And I also want to just mention, over the 4th of July holiday, our mayor announced that he's not going to be running for a seat again. And I just want to be the first to congratulate him and thank him for a job well done. He's served 10 years in this city, and while I've been here, he's never missed a meeting. He's never missed a single meeting.
That's true.
And so that says something, So firstly, I'd like to thank him for his service to our city. He's done a great job. Secondly, to all the Monday evening quarterbacks, that think this is a great job and they know better than we do, this is your chance to run. You could run for mayor and city council. Sign up on August 9th. If you can do such a great job and do it for your city, this is your perfect opportunity. So August 9th through September 8th, I believe, is the time you can sign up, and you too could sit up here if you like.
$25.
$25 to run, and you can get all the wonderful input from people we hear all the time. And they're always so nice and polite, too. And that's the best part about it. So thank you again, Mayor. And we'll have more to say about that as his time draws closer. But thanks for a job well done.
David, thank you. I appreciate that. It was pointed, and I wasn't going to say this, but since you brought it up, it was pointed out by my daughter that we've lived here for 11 years. And I served 2 years on council and 8 years as mayor. And I encourage everyone who has a willingness to serve to try and just put your name out there. It's not easy. The Book of Face, as I call it, is a great place for everyone with their angry fingers to come at you and tell you everything that you're doing wrong. But it is a great, it's a great feeling to be able to do this for as long as I have. So, and I do thank you for bringing that up, David.
And on that note, it is one thing I'd like to say as we start getting ready for the election season again, and following up on what you said, Mayor. You know, you all have your favorites, you all have the candidates that you want, and that's great. That's why we live in America. But why do we have to be nasty? There is nobody up here that, at any time that I know of, who isn't trying to do their best. And there is no way that anyone that runs for any elected office is ever going to please everyone. That's impossible. So what I'd like to put out there for the election season is be positive about it. And so, you know, you don't like David and he's running for mayor, then fine, vote for somebody else that's running for mayor. But don't beat him up.
There's people who don't like you, Dave?
You know, it's just, I wish we didn't have to go down that route. You know, let's not lower ourselves to the level of our national politicians and, you know, just, hey, you're up here, I don't agree with you, you're not my candidate, but thanks for running and trying. And I'm going to vote for somebody else anyway, but don't destroy the people. It's really not necessary. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're your neighbors, all of us. And we should keep that in mind. And we also try to teach our children how to live right and be kind to other people. Let's start with this election season.
So on a positive note.
That is positive.
Last meeting, I talked about RFATs and the third bridge, and where we were on the third bridge. That did come up again. It was a very contentious meeting. You probably have seen it on the CN2 or in the Fort Mill Times or the Herald or the Charlotte Observer or wherever. As it stands now, there were a lot more suggestions other than the third bridge came up for us to help with the traffic situation. And I'm almost positive that we're not going the route of a third bridge, based on the feedback that I've seen from folks. But so we're hopeful that that's not the where it's going to go. I'm almost positive that we've been able to hold that off for now. Charlie, at the State of the City address, I mentioned that we have 35% of our operational budget in contingency. And that's based on the policy that council adopted in 2013, that we would maintain 25%. That again is a policy of council. That is not a rule of council. That's not a law of council.
Correct.
Charlie, if everyone will agree to this, I'd like to see an ordinance come back so that council is required to maintain 25% of the operational budget in contingency, and not just have it as a policy, but have it as a law in the city. So what does everyone think about that?
I think it's a great idea. You know, the city's never been in better shape financially than it is now, and a big reason for that is because we adopted that policy.
Correct.
And I think to keep us financially sound, it makes good sense. So I would be supportive of it.
David, you good?
Yeah.
Dan, you good with that idea?
I like it a lot. If there were any type of particular reason we would need to spend let's just say a hurricane comes through and destroys something, what would need to occur to be able to
Authorize.
tap into that type of resource?
The way the policy reads, that was passed by resolution in 2013 is council, it can only go below the 25% upon direction of council. And council must also adopt a plan. Right now, the policy says, I believe, within 36 months to bring it back to the 25%.
okay.
So, I mean, council, at council's discretion, you can spend it all if that, with a public vote of council. But the way the policy reads that we put together does require for that plan to put it back to the 25%.
I do recall that. I'm just wondering if maybe some sort of that verbiage would be included in what you're
Well, if there was
introducing.
if there was an emergency situation, and I'm sure we could put that into the ordinance, that council would meet. You know, we wouldn't have to have a 24-hour requirement to meet during an emergency. We would meet and
You've already
publicly-
got some of that stuff in
Right.
your current,
Right.
in your
So
current
we have to
code.
publicly vote on it to spend it, but my concern is that I don't want that to get to where we were before,
Oh, absolutely, protect
know,
us in the future.
so.
It's for
Ryan,
everyone's
you all right
benefit.
with that? So could you bring something like that back to us in our August meeting? That would be great. And lastly, fun thing for me to do here. Mr. Putty's
Hey.
was voted the 7th best mini golf course in the state of South Carolina.
Wow.
And that's just right here. So that's kind of neat. So go visit Mr.
cool.
Putty's. Yeah, that's true. The other 6 are in Myrtle Beach. You're right. And that's the mini golf capital of the world. And that's all I have. So item number 11 on the agenda is adjournment. And how are we going to do that with our plan? Do we adjourn after that?
No, you just go ahead and adjourn now, and then we'll do the
Council, entertain a
training.
motion to adjourn?
So
You guys
moved.
want to stay? That's cool.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion by Dottie Hersey. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Ryan Richard. Any discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
And we're all here for